Hey, what's up, ladies? Welcome to another episode of my Friday episode of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast, my To the Core episode. I'm coming in from Alaska. I'm in Homer, Alaska. Let's see if it's too hard to do this, but let's see. If you're watching on the YouTube, I'm turning my computer around. Oh, it's too bright. You can't see. That is the ocean on the other side of that tree line right there. That's the ocean. And it's actually a really beautiful and clear day today. So you can see all of the volcanoes. So the volcanoes here from Homer are Redoubt. Is it called Iliamna and Etna? Yeah, I hear them and then I just don't remember. But anyway, so also I'm a little all over the place because I feel disoriented because I don't have my headphones on. Not only am I not in my studio, but I don't have my headphones on and I'm not holding a microphone. I've got some new equipment. So this is my first time trying it out. We'll see how it goes. Who knows? This episode may not ever even air because maybe I'll hear the sound quality of it and be like, never mind. That was horrible, Ginna. You did something wrong. I know it's not the equipment. I know it's me. It's obviously always user error with me. So Rick was in Hawaii with some guys that they do this professionally, and this is the equipment they said to get. So I realized that it's quite mostly user error when there's ever a problem like that. But I wanted to talk today about, so in the Revitalized Sisterhood in my private community, we are doing the topic of parenting, which because I wanted to be sensitive to those of us that are not parents or have children that are grown and moved out of the house or maybe are trying to become parents and it's not quite time for that yet for whatever reason. I want to be sensitive about this month's topic of parenting. And what it brought me to realize is parenting ourselves, right? Becoming better parents by parenting ourselves first. And in thinking about all these things, I've become so hypersensitive and ultra aware of how often we parent our kids with the kind of hypocrisy of do as I say, not as I do, right? We come to think that because we're adults, we've got it figured out, or we don't recognize in us the actions that our kids are doing that they're getting in trouble for or that we're correcting, right? So one example came to mind when I'm telling my kids when they're having a fit or when they're having a meltdown or when, things just aren't going their way and they're upset about it. And I'm trying to correct their actions by saying, almost by it's not okay for them to act that way, even though it is. They're allowed to have emotions. I'm just trying to be better about telling them how to express their emotions, right? But then I think, what was it the last time a person cut me off while I was out driving in my car? What was my reaction? What was my response? I probably got really upset. I probably had a reactive emotion or reactive response, and it probably was very similar to my 8-year-old throwing a tantrum, right? Or the last time Rick and I had a fight with each other, I'm pretty sure some of the reactive responses from the things we were saying to each other looked a lot like a tantrum that my 2-year-old would be having, or you know what I mean? So it's been very eye-opening and really interesting to see and be so mindful about the hypocrisy of do as I say, not as I do, because they're watching me do these things and they're like thinking, wait, you're telling me not to do this, but I just watched you do it the other day, right? So try to think about those kinds of things. Try to be mindful about that when you're correcting your kids for something they're doing. Keep that in mind, right? So that's what we're having. The conversations is kind of the conversations we're having this month in the Revitalized Sisterhood. Anyway, it got me thinking about that, and along with the fact that we have all of our new members that joined us before the end of June because we closed open enrollment down. This was my first time ever closing open enrollment. Also, by the way, hang on, right turn. Happy 1-year anniversary, Revitalize Womanhood. Can we please get a hey-ya for that? I've had a few people pointing it out to me, and I don't know if for some reason I've got some kind of limiting belief or some kind of hidden something in my subconscious that isn't allowing me to celebrate this. But Revitalized Womanhood was born last July in Alaska on our trip to Alaska. So happy 1 year anniversary, Revitalized Womanhood. Woo! That's pretty cool. I have had a business for 1 year. So anyway, I shouldn't have sidetracked because now I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. I read somewhere that if you just readjust your posture, sit up straight, you'll remember. Like when we have those moments of mom brain, right? And we're like, oh, I can't remember this name, or I can't remember. I read somewhere that says if you just correct your posture and sit up straight, it will come back again. And it's actually worked twice now. This is the third time I'm trying this. So what I was talking about, what brought up these things was because of our new members, because we shut down open enrollment as of July 1st, we will open it again for the Revitalized Sisterhood membership. We will open it again in 3 months on the next quarter. So it will be open quarterly throughout the year. So 4 times a year. So anyway, I've got these new members, and what is it that I want most for them out of their first month in the Revitalized Sisterhood? I want from their first 30 days, 30 to 60 days, the best thing that I can get from them to do for themselves, to be for themselves, is holding themselves personally accountable. Like that accountability that is just make or break, right? You don't join communities like this and expect everybody to do the work for you. You can't. That's not how this works. This is all about doing the work for yourself. So I have a really hard time with hand holding, right? Because that is the whole point of this growth, is being uncomfortable, is figuring out what you're made of, what you're capable of, which I know we are all made of amazing things and capable of all the things. So when you get stuck, or when you feel, it's kind of like when I opened this, when I first started Revitalized Womanhood, I had a lot of questions, right? Honestly, I swear to you, I don't think I even knew what a podcast was. I did not know that it was just an free app that you could have and listen to things like this. Honestly, swear to you, full disclosure, I had no idea what a podcast was. I had started listening to Ryan's podcast maybe in July or the month previous to July for some reason. I don't know why. It was because when we went and stayed with them in Maine, that's when. So I started listening to his podcast episodes. So a few months before I started Revitalized Womanhood. So, but before that, I didn't even know what a podcast was. Not to mention starting my own business. Hello, I got a Apple computer for the first time. I'm a Samsung. I have no idea how to use Apple anything. So I got a MacBook for the first time. So I had to learn that. I'm 40 years old learning how to work a MacBook. Okay. I remember asking my niece, bless her little heart, we're going to have her on the podcast here shortly. But I had to ask her the funniest questions. And one of them, I remember the first question I asked her was, how do you minimize a screen? It's okay. So how, if I'm looking at my screen, how do I close my screen? How do I minimize? She's like, seriously? Like, yeah, I'm 40 years old and you need to tell me this. So honestly, even silly things like that, learning how to do it, putting together my podcast studio, putting together the equipment, putting together my mic, getting the mic to work with my computer, getting the changing from equipment. So I first started recording on Zoom, and then I switched to one called Squadcast, and now I'm on Riverside. I mean, things like this, right? These are all learning experiences that if I would have just had someone telling me what to do, would have been very nice and very simple. But a lot of things as well, I've learned the hard way, and it's made me better for it, right? At the time, I didn't love it. I remember having a few meltdowns when I couldn't figure out how to get my mic to fit on the boom arm, and stressing about it and freaking out about it. And then it was probably the, hump, the last straw that broke the camel's back, but still freaking out about it that I couldn't get the stupid microphone, the Shure microphone, to hook to my boom arm. And I was just missing a piece. I was absolutely the dumbest thing, just missing a connecting piece. And it was so simple. But, it's things like that you figure out the stuff you're made of when you're going through this. As far as, starting the community, the private membership, the sisterhood, Revitalized Sisterhood, opened for the first time October 1st. It was supposed to open in September, actually. And I was not feeling like it was ready. I didn't feel like it was up to par, which, what is up to par? By whose standards was I living by, right? Well, obviously, the Order of Man, Iron Council, that's the standard to what I'm setting my bar. But also, that's a community that's been open for 8 years. And here I am trying to match what they have and the level of information and courses and content and material for my women, for my members. It's been a lot. It's stretched me in ways I didn't realize I could go. And then along with that, creating all the monthly topics every month, right? Creating a topic of discussion for each of for my community for each month, and doing the research for that, and really diving deep into myself, because the topics that I use, that I put together, are topics that are near and dear to my heart, or something that I feel like, wow, I really need extra guidance or teachings in this right now at this time in my life. So it's pretty personalized journey. If you go back to all of our monthly topics, you can pretty much see that, at this time of the year, Ginna needed help in her marriage. At this time in the year, Ginna, so right now, is parenting, because we're in summer times and we're all with our kids even more. So I felt like parenting was a great monthly topic for July. And habits, getting us into good habits, good foundational habits, was June, for the first month of our kids being out of school and home, right? So that's kind of the method to my madness. So in case you were wondering, all right, so I'm going into this. I got derailed, and I should just do a whole episode about the 1 year. That's what I should do. Maybe I'll talk about that with Kelly when we record. Kelly's going to be here soon. She's going to be here in a few days here in Alaska. And so we're going to record my monthly Ask Me Anything with Kelly. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the journey, because she's been on this journey with me for the entire year. She has had a front row seat with me. She was here when Ryan presented me with this, when we got it started, when we were naming it. So that'll be fun to talk to her about that. Anyway, so moving on to personal accountability. And when I'm talking about personal accountability for this episode, here, let's make sure. Sorry, it's probably, I just touched the fuzz on the mic. So if it just went or something, that's why. All right. So when I'm talking about personal accountability, I'm not talking about what you normally would think of when you're talking about personal accountability, for like things like setting goals, right? Creating a schedule, tracking your progress, rewarding yourself. That is exactly what we do already when we do our 90-day goals. And that's not what I'm talking about as far as personal accountability. What I'm talking about right now as far as personal accountability is, and maybe I should call it more, being an advocate for yourself. Maybe I'll think about changing the topic or the title of this, because personal accountability, when it comes to being an advocate for yourself and knowing your own mind, right? Okay. So with that, first thing is first. You are the only person who has your back, right? And hear me what I mean when I say that. You have a husband, or you have a partner, or you have these other people in your life that you're like, they have my back. Well, they might have your back, but to what extent? To what point? Because if you're not truly being honest with who you are, what you want, what you expect out of life, then they don't fully have your back, right? So say your husband, we'll just put this in this kind of terms. So if my husband thinks that I am the woman who absolutely wants to be a stay-at-home mom, I have no other desire in the world, I don't want to work, I just live, eat, breathe, sleep for raising my kids and cleaning my house and making good meals for my family, right? Amazing. Love that. However, is this the messages you've been giving him when really in the back of your mind you're thinking, gosh, it would really be fun to maybe have some kind of a leadership role in something, like maybe start a book club or maybe join a church group or maybe, right? So if in the back of your mind you're kind of thinking to yourself, but there's more to me than this, right? I love this part of me. I love this aspect of my life, but there is more to me. See what I mean? He has your back. He has your back for everything that you've allowed him to know about you. But if you're keeping other things from him, or you're not being open with yourself, you're not being honest with yourself, you're not being honest with your partner, how can he have your back truly if he doesn't know your mind? He's not a mind reader, okay? And not that it's his job to have your back anyway. That's just a perk, right? But you are the only person who has your back. You are responsible for you, right? Everybody else that comes along is a bonus. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about personal accountability right now in this episode. Know your own mind, be honest with yourself, and know how to ask for things. So let's break that down. So knowing what you want starts with visualizing what it is and who it is, who the woman is. So I've been having my members in the Revitalized Sisterhood do a lot of visualization, and I'm not an expert at this. So bless their hearts for going along with me. I'm like, just please, just trust me, I guess. We're in this together. Just let's dive in. So close your eyes. If you're not driving right now, close your eyes. If you are driving, come back to this. Okay, I want you to close your eyes and imagine the most ideal version of you. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that exude, right? What do you feel when you're standing? If you were standing next to this woman, if you saw her in the street, or if you met her at a park, if you met her at church, who is this woman? Who is this person that your ideal self, in your heart of hearts, in your mind of minds, you know that that woman is who you want to be? And that's kind of a catch right there, because I know that you are already that woman, or else you wouldn't be visualizing her. She's in you, but because of other things, because of life, because of this and that and the other, you've buried her, right? So that true, we want to call that your true self, right? She's in there. She just needs to come out. So anyway, when you're visualizing this person, what does she look like? Is she have makeup on? Is her hair done? Is she wearing a put together outfit? Is she an athletic person? Does she have her hair in a messy knot most of the time because she's out playing and running and jogging? That's fine. Visualize this. Visualize what your most ideal version of yourself is, right? And then what does she feel like? Does she feel like she has unconditional love for the people around her? Does she exude patience? Is she happy? Is she laughing? Is she playing? Right? Is she the one that everyone wants to come and talk to because she's going to nurture and love on them and not judge them, right? Who is this woman? Okay. So I want you to visualize this woman so much so to the point that you feel what she is radiating off onto yourself, right? Okay, so open your eyes. Now, what is it about you now that is not the same as that ideal version of yourself, right? What is it? Be honest. Do not lie to yourself, okay? Because you can't lie to yourself. You know when you're lying to yourself, right? What is it? no shame, no blame. Okay, I am not playful. I am not fun. My husband and my kids tell me all the time. And I realized this when I was in Minnesota just a couple weeks ago with Kelly and Amy, and we got to have this fun girls weekend, which I've had fun girls weekends. I've had a retreat in Austin. I've had my retreat and the women come to me, but I had to do things for that. I didn't get to just be loosey-goosey, no pressure, no stress. I could just sleep in. I could just wake up when I wanted. I could go out on the deck and drink my coffee. Nobody was talking to me. Nobody needed anything from me, right? This was 100%. I got to just be myself. Nobody there I felt was judging me, right? I mean, I absolutely. And so when one of my members said, "How was it?" I said, it was really, really fun. It was really nice to get to be the real Ginna. And for nobody's fault but my own, I guess, she doesn't come out very often, right? I feel like if she comes out, I'm judged, or if she comes out, I'm not doing what I need to do to make sure my kids are growing up into the people that they need to be, right? I have all these different expectations on myself that are crushing this truest version of myself. And that's so sad because she's so fun. I got to see her again and she is so fun and she is so silly. So she is this woman that I visualize, right? So I need to work on being better about doing the things that need to bring her out, that will bring her out, right? And what that looks like is not being so serious about disciplining my kids, being more fun with them, being more silly with my husband, being flirty with my husband, dancing more, right? Turn on some dang music and just dance more, because I do it with my friends. I love doing it. I do it with my husband when we're out of town, but I don't just do it in my house. Like, so many things have to get done. I have to check all these things off the list. I have to clean. I have to cook. I have to do the laundry. I have to run the errands. I have to do this, blah, 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 right? Boo. Okay, I'm not leaving enough time for the Ginna that I want to be, right? And that's my own fault. That is absolutely my own fault. So here comes personal accountability, right? It is not up to my husband. It's not up to Rick to make sure I'm happy. It's not up to my kids to make sure I feel loved. It's not up to my kids. It's not up to anybody else to do these things for me. It is up to me. This is my responsibility. I'm the only person that can do this for myself. Okay, so have you visualized her? Do you see her? Do you feel her? Do you just, right? And then when I told you to open your eyes, did it just snap you into a reality that you're like, oh, I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that place. Okay, so why? So now you need to check and be honest with yourself. Sit down and make a list. Sit down and write out the ways that you do not feel the same as this ideal version of yourself, right? So yeah, make a list and then work backwards from that list. Okay, like I just said, I'm not dancing. I want to dance more. Why am I not dancing? Oh, because I'm trying to tick off all these boxes in the day that are so silly and don't need to be ticked off. So work backwards and look at your list and realize, hey, there's something I can do about this, right? I can be accountable for this. This is personal accountability. I can take responsibility for making this a priority. Okay. So I broke this down into kind of a 5-step personal accountability list. If we want to turn it into a nice little list, quote unquote, which I'm not great at, but I tried it for this episode. So let's see. So first, we can't expect other people to read our minds, right? We already discussed that. We can't expect our husbands to have our backs or our friends to have our backs if we're not actually allowing them the true information, the real information. We're not letting them see exactly what's in our hearts and in our minds. We have to be clear. So when we want this to become this truest version of ourself, right? Our true self, this most ideal version of ourself, we have to be honest. We have to be clear about what that looks like with the people in our lives, with the people that we love. They are not mind readers. So when they don't react or act according to how we feel like they should, it's probably because they don't have all the information. And so we're not we're not giving them a chance, right? So we can't expect other people to read our minds. We have to be clear. So number 2, we have to be sure about what we're asking for. Don't minimize it. Okay. If you have a clear vision, you know exactly what it is you want, you know exactly what it's going to take to do that. You do not minimize it. It's like asking for your worth, right? You are worth everything you want to become that ideal person, right? You are worth that. You are allowed to ask for that. So if that means you want to have a conversation with your husband about helping you take on more of the chores in the house, or get rid of some of the things that maybe you're doing that you're like, do we really need this additional stress? Do we really need these additional activities for the kids? Do we really need, right? This is all conversations. So be very specific about what it is. Be sure about what it is you're asking for, and don't minimize it. You ask for what it is you want, right? Go for the gold. Why sit here and ask for the bronze? That's how you ended up like this in the first place, is you were allowing for other people to negotiate what your happiness looks like, right? You're negotiating what your ideal version of yourself looks like, right? Because you're negotiating with what they have going on in their lives. No, why? Why would you settle for bronze? Go for the gold and ask for what it is you actually want. When you're thinking, if I ask for what I want, someone will be mad, or if I ask for what I want, someone will be mad at me or be annoyed with me, or that's your drama. They haven't done anything. You haven't even given them a chance to do things for you, right? You are creating lies in your head about the drama that is going to be created from you asking for these things. It hasn't even happened yet. So be sure, know in your heart, know in your mind exactly what it is you want, and ask for it, or explain it, or share the vision, right, with these people that are going to be affected by this. So 3, know what timeline you're dealing with. So does this ideal version of yourself need a fitness plan, right? Does this ideal vision of yourself need to work on her foundational habits so she doesn't yell and isn't so reactive to her children, right? I mean, so give yourself a good timeline. Is this have something to do with traveling? You want to travel with your family. You want to create more memories together, right? More camping trips, more hiking trips, so there's a timeline for these kinds of things. So be very clear about your timeline and make this attainable. So if it is a fitness journey and your ideal self, your healthiest version of yourself is, I'm not even going to say losing weight, because for me, it's putting on weight. For me, it's getting more strong, building muscle, strengthening, eating more calories, right? So I'm not going to say that, but your vision of yourself for your most ideal self, you need a timeline, and you need to be honest about that timeline. Okay. I'm not going to just all of a sudden be at my perfect body type in 30 days. No, that's not, I mean, so you have to be clear about your timeline. Okay, 4, know what you don't want. I love this one because it works backwards. So sometimes if you're getting stuck and you're having a hard time thinking, oh, what do I want, right? Which women do all the time. Believe me, I've had a women's community for a year. I've been a woman for 41 years. I've been surrounded by other women all my life, and a friend to women all my life. And women have a very hard time knowing what it is they want. But you can more easily say what you don't want, right? I don't want to sleep in and miss the day. I don't want to be lazy, right? I don't want to have a messy house. I don't want to fight with my husband. I don't want to yell at my kids, right? That's very easy. I can spit those out like quicker than anything, which is so funny. It's got to be human nature. We can go to the negative so much easier than we can go to the positive. But anyway, I digress. So work backwards from what you don't want. Okay, if you don't want to be lazy by sleeping in, then work backwards from that to that translates to, you want to be a more productive person throughout the day. So that means you need to wake up earlier, right? Get some things done before your family wakes up. Easy peasy. Okay. And 5, for holding yourself accountable, which is really ironic, is an accountability partner, a community, people in your life that will hold you accountable. And with that, it's not necessarily putting it on them to hold you accountable, but more something about us as humans is once we say we're going to do something, it's a lot harder. Once we acknowledge it to another person, it's a lot harder to not do it, because then you've got this kind of voice in the back of your head saying, you're going to look bad if you don't do this, right? Whatever it is, the science behind it, I don't even know, but you need an accountability partner. You need a community. You need people that are going to hold you to this. And by that, I mean, you're going to hold yourself to it, because people know about it. People know you're working on it, right? That you want to be successful. You want to be seen as successful. You want to show everyone that you can do this, right? So that's what I mean by that. So talk about it, post about it, show everybody in your stories. I like to joke about I'm a ninja, right? My women in my community hear this all the time. I'm a ninja. I'm a ninja. No, Gina, you're not a ninja. Yeah, I'm a ninja. No, you're not. Well, guess what? If I start posting in my stories on Instagram every day of going to the dojo, putting on my little outfit, swinging around my nunchucks, like after the first day of posting, I'm going to say I'm a ninja. And everybody's going to say, no, you're not. After the second day of posting, I'm going to say I'm a ninja. And they're going to say, no, you're not. After the 800th day of posting that I'm doing these activities, they're going to be like, oh yeah, Gina's a ninja. She totally is. She does it every day, right? The same thing as I'm going to be a good chef. I'm going to be an amazing, sorry, not amazing. I'm not going to yell at my kids. I'm not, right? So if I'm saying I'm not going to yell at my kids, but then I yell at my kids, my husband's going to be like, I thought you said you weren't going to yell at your kids. Okay. So the biggest thing behind all of these, if you want me to wrap it up again, is know your mind, right? Know your mind to be able to express it and be very specific, because we can't expect other people to read our minds. That's just not fair. 2, be sure, be sure about what you're asking for. Do not minimize it. You thinking that it will make someone else mad, sad, angry is your drama, not theirs. 3, know what the timeline you're dealing with. 4, know what you don't want. And 5, have an accountability partner or community, right, that backs you up. So with that, I hope that's so helpful in actually having actionable steps towards, or being mindful of at least, taking accountability, personal accountability into our lives to creating our most happy, fulfilled lives, right? And that's going to happen by becoming your ideal self, your true self, that person that's inside of you that you know you are, the Gina that I know dances and gets silly and playful and flirts and has fun, rather than the Gina that is constantly running errands or ticking off the to-do lists or bogged down by the what has to get done today, rather than just sitting on the couch and snuggling with my kids or whatever. So I hope that is helpful, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to get done and hope this recorded, because again, first time using this mic. So hopefully that all came through okay. And please don't forget, if you haven't already, rate and review the episode, and we'll see you next week.